and introduce Michael Oldfield because he's really the person who knows what's going on. And I said, no, that's not possible. No, he doesn't get away without having some stories told about him. What do you think? Yeah, we would have had pictures too, but we couldn't figure out how to make it work. Anyway, what a triumph for science and for humankind to have reached the age of 100, a centenarian. Did you know that the number of people over 100 years old today is 10 times the number from about 15 years ago? Isn't that pretty phenomenal? So look about you and think which ones of you are going to be over 100 years old. Are you ready? Right? It's an interesting proposition. I mean, that's only another 30 years for me. Gosh, I'm not sure about that. Anyway, Dad became a centenarian on March the 21st of this year. He was keen to have a party that day. But COVID rather interfered, as you may understand. In any event, of course, Frank Sharman is not one to be beaten easily. Is that what you would expect? Right? Round of applause for Frank Sharman for that. On that day, as I recall, he had 3 Zoom meetings in the morning. He had meetings with family in Canada and friends in Canada. He had meeting with friends and family in England. He got a letter from the Queen. Now, for some of us, we might have thought that was pretty good, but not for Frank Sharman. No. What he had was, he then had many people come and visit him in his condominium in the afternoon. And it was a wonderful event. He met them and they came in twos. It was a little like Noah's Ark. And so it was wonderful. People came to say hello and that was lovely. But it didn't end there either. Because after that he had a little reception and he had people for dinner. But of course it was all socially distanced, right? Because that's what you've been doing all the time. Is that correct? Anyway, so it was a wonderful day, and we apologize that we couldn't do this on that day, but we're really excited that you're all here today, and there's a whole lot more coming. So I'll tell you a little bit about my father. He grew up on the outskirts of London, England, not to be confused with Ontario. He studied to become a chartered company secretary. Did I get that right? Yes, I got that right. After which he joined the Royal Air Force to defend Britain in the Second World War, where he had a number of roles, including a posting to Cyprus. After the war ended, he began his business career as an accountant and a chartered secretary, and later he moved on to selling computers and computer services. So during that time, I got into one of the better schools in Britain. Awfully nice, don't you know? And we could only get our clothing from Harrods in downtown London. Of course, we didn't say downtown; it was in the city of London. And we got treated like royalty when we got there to go and get my little outfit, because we had shorts and long pants and proper tie, and we were treated like royalty because Dad had just sold them their first computer. You can tell how old I am and how long ago that was. And it was pretty exciting, but that was what he did. And after that, he spent many years selling services, and he moved to Canada. And a few years later, my sister Linda, who is also here, he worked for Nortel. It was the company. Remember Nortel? Anybody work for Nortel? Yeah, some of you work for Nortel. I mean, a bunch of you. I know 2 of you guys. 3 of us, 4 of us work for Nortel. And Dad used to come and visit when we were living in Ottawa at the time, and so that was kind of fun. But the sad part of it for Dad was he was required to retire at the age of 65. And some of you will remember that time, right? Because you had to stop working. Well, some people don't accept that, right? Not Dad. No, he wasn't going to stop working. He was deeply resentful of that. So he joined Canadian executives overseas. And then he got to travel around the world as a consultant and teacher, teaching people how to do really interesting things in developing countries that would allow them to become refined like us. Well, you know, that may be a bit much to hope for, but he had a good time. He went to Lesotho, right? And was it Thailand? And there were some other countries he went to. Where? Romania. Egypt? But it just goes on, right? Not a bad deal for now somebody who is wanting to be not retired and he can get out there and get about and do some great things. So that was very, very exciting for Dad. And you know, here we are a few years later, and you'll appreciate Dad is now an eloquent and provocative raconteur. Are you familiar with that? No, I don't know anything about that. And he's always fun to be around. Do you agree with that? He's always fun to be around. He has always loved people and being involved in lots of things. He played cricket for years. He played golf for years. I think when I was, maybe 15 years ago, he could shoot his age on the golf course. That's pretty impressive. Right? That's worth a round of applause, shooting his age. Me, I would always get my money's worth out of the golf course. Because I always played the alternative fairways, which would get him a little frustrated with my game. In any event, later after that, he took up singing with the Barbershop in Oakville. And I think that was just after he stopped working. You got barbershop fans here too. And he was very influential on my life and on Linda's life. He didn't quite get me into barbershopping, but he got my sister, who is now a member, or has been for a long time, of the Sweet Ad Lions. And we should get them to sing together later. What do you think? Okay, we're going to add that to the list. So where's Michael? Sorry, we've just added something. Where's Michael? Oh, he's down there. Okay, Michael, we just added them singing to the agenda, if you wouldn't mind. I think that's entirely appropriate. Along the way, he emceed for the annual barbershop concert at Oakville Center for the Performing Arts. And after he retired, he decided to leverage his natural creativity and joined ACTRA. Do anybody know what ACTRA is? A-C-T-R-A? It's the union for actors. Does that seem likely that he would want to be an actor? No. Well, that is less likely. But my dad has never been inclined to accept no for an answer. And he wanted to be in a movie. And he did it. He got to appear in a movie, right? What do you think? Oh! I would be remiss to ignore his love of food. Especially seafood. During our childhood, we would go to visit France. We thought it was so we could go and learn something about France. But no, it was really about learning to eat moule marinier, his favorite food. And langoustine. Have you ever had that? Well, then there were crabs. And of course, his favorite for all times is lobster. And although he's sort of retired today, he's still interested in fancy food like that. Anybody had over at Elsa Craig, is that what we call it? Who goes there and has fancy meals? Yeah, what do you think? You like that? We should give him a round of applause for that. Anyway, he's a strong advocate for all things community. He serves on committees. He writes articles for the local news, and is, of course, always participating, and where he can, organizing gatherings and all events in the community. Is that true? Yeah, and we're proud of that too, right? Who would do it if he didn't? Whoa! So putting it all together, when Dad and his former wife, Jean, moved to the Arboretum around 2000, he immediately became involved in community activities. Many of you will remember the annual cabaret. Are we going to do that again?
Yes.
Who's going to be organizing it? Maybe. So you will recall the featured music, the skits, the dancing, the comedy show. Dad up here on stage dressed as a beggar sometimes as a buxom lady. Remember the dad? You were never a buxom? No, I thought I remember you as a buxom lady. I did, yeah, definitely. And he was always an important instigator, organizer, and participant, as were many of you here today. And so I think that is all part of who we remember Frank for and who we expect to see more of in the next 10 years, because now I know he's aspiring for 110. Right? You like that? Dad is always a family man. He was married to my mother, Margaret, for 20 years or so, later to Jean for 40 years. And many of you remember Jean? Yes? A round of applause for Jean. And sadly, of course, both are passed and they moved on to a better place. And of course now, God bless them both. And what we have is we have in our lives, we have Barbara, the lovely and thoughtful Barbara. And how would anything be complete without Barbara? In short, Dad has always been an energetic, fun man of the people. He is creative, an optimist, a driver, a motivator, and a force to be reckoned with. He is so one of his great grandchildren just had something to say about that. He is loved by many, and especially his family. So out of his relationship with our mother Margaret, my sister Linda, you should stand up and wave. Say hi. And myself came along, and that led to our growing family, most of whom we are delighted to have in this room today. Right? Well, we're just waiting for a few to arrive. Do you think I can carry this on for another 5 minutes so that the other four can arrive? Maybe not, but we'll see. Do we have any news of them? They're here. They're here. All right. Well, they may come in after we're finished. But in any event, so allow me please to introduce all of us, family members. As I mention your name, I invite you to stand up until everybody's names have been said. So I want you all to be standing at the same time, just one at a time. Get up and then stay standing. But Dad, you don't have to stand up. So I'm truly honored and proud to be present here today with all our family, all of whom are delightful and each in their own way to celebrate the 100th year of our patriarch, Frank Sharman. Pause.